Hi everyone, it's Chris and Brandon from the Tech Department again with your Digital Media Minute. We're back with another tool that you've all been using quite a bit in this virtual learning, hybrid learning, whatever we're calling it this year.
Wait for it. This is the biggest Digital Media Minute of the year to date. We are on day 47, and yes, we finally have Google Breakouts.
Hooray!
So let's walk them through a little bit of the new features and some old features that integrate and just remind us on how to best launch our meets with students.
So we're starting in your Google Classroom, and as you can see in that big header image at the top is your Google Classroom, is your Classroom Meet link. Right now, there's a little icon to the right-hand side that looks like the Google Meet icon. That means that this link is visible to all your students. If this icon looks like a little eyeball with a slash through it, that means that your link is not visible to students and they will not be able to click on it. It won't be in their header. If you want to turn it on, head to the cog or the gear in the upper right hand corner and scroll down to Meet. And there's a little toggle switch next to Visible to Students. Make sure that is blue and toggled on, and make sure you hit Save, and that will turn on your Meet.
Before we go any further, too, the thought just occurred to me, Brandon, and I'd like to put this on people's radars that if you should need a sub account, we're working through this process, but right now we're trying out the idea of adding your sub as a teacher into your Google Classroom so that they can then use and launch this Meet link for your students. Your students would then have access to all of their regular classroom materials and assignments that you've posted. So again, it's a work in progress, but we will be trying it out and confirming that this would be the preferred method for allowing your subs to access your Google Meets.
All right, so let's jump over to our Google Meet, which also got a new logo in the last couple of days. It looks like a little colorful camera icon. So we are now in a meet with our students. You can see us here. I'll turn my camera on.
And as the host, Brandon's waving to us right now, and you can see that we have 2 students in it. So right away along the top, you'll notice in our toolbar that we have 3 geometric shapes. When we click on that, you'll see now that we have the ability to launch a breakout room, ask a poll, or pose a question and get student input. So in order to start a breakout room, you want to just simply enter the information of how many rooms. You can shuffle the order of students, or you can actually put them manually in dragging and dropping them into your breakout rooms. So you can see how Brandon is pulling his students from one breakout room to another, and then you can simply launch or open those rooms. A student will get a pop-up to say, would you like to join breakout room number 1? I think we have an example of maybe that being set up.
Yep, so I'll switch over. I am also logged in as our student, and Chris, if you want to over there. So the student will get a message that says you've been invited to join breakout 2. I'll join, and we are in these rooms by ourselves, I think, right now. So I'll flip back over to the teacher.
And as he's flipping over, notice how as the teacher host, you can join either of the breakouts or multiple breakouts that you have in session. When you want students to come back to...
So I'm joining the room with our student. So you can see now the teacher is here. We're talking. And sorry, then when you want to come back, Chris?
Sure. So when you want to close out that room, it's as simple as clicking on that red icon to close the room, and your students will get a message to return to the main call on their pop-up. So now we're all back together in our Google Meet.
All right.
Breakouts are going to be a game changer for getting students to be working in small groups and partnering and conferencing with students. So we couldn't be more happy that this is released. Polls and Q&A are very similar to how we've seen them be used in other programs. So you can see Brandon started a poll of PB or J. Once you start the poll, your students will see that live poll just as they do in a chat window. They can answer and then vote.
And then you can see those votes come up as the teacher. You can see I've got one vote for Nutella. You can show everyone the results. So now when I flip back over to the student, they'll be able to see who voted on what, instead of just being able to choose one.
Okay, and then similarly with the Q&A feature. So let us know how you like these new features. A couple of security measures as we do launch this new version of Meets. Again, these can be found if you hover over students in your Meet, so you can see where you can pin a student who might be speaking, you can mute a student, or you can remove a student if they are acting inappropriately in your Google Meet.
And if you're having trouble finding them on the screen, if you go to the people view, you can do the same thing. So this shows you a list of all your students, so in case you're having trouble finding your student maybe in that, if you've got everybody together, you can do the same thing. If you go to their name and press the caret, you can pin them to your screen, mute them, or kick them out of the room.
And lastly, if we could just go over to that chat feature. So this chat is the same as it is outside of your new icon here. And there is this new ability to let everyone send messages, which is toggled on. You can also turn that off if you just want to have it be one way. And remember, this is a great area where you can link resources out to your students for them to easily launch and continue the learning. So if it's something more on the fly that you want them to access. One final tip for our secondary folks or for our K-5 folks, should we be on a pause and staff are in school, we're recommending that you run 2 meets when we're synchronous or working concurrently with our students. So on your Chromebook, you would launch your Meet to enable that audio. And then on your desktop, you would also launch your Google Meet to use in present mode so that your students, both in person and at home, were seeing the instructional content or your Google Slides smart notebook file that you are presenting. So until we have webcams installed that will pick up both video and audio, we're recommending that you run 2 meets through your Chromebook and your desktop.
So the last thing that we'll mention is kind of a troubleshooting tip for your students. We found that if students are dropping out of the Meet, or maybe the Meet might be a little bit choppy for them if they have a slower connection to the internet, to have them turn off their camera. So at the bottom of the screen, you can toggle the camera on or off. We want to make sure that our students are actively participating, but it can be a good troubleshooting tip if they're having trouble staying on that Meet.
So good luck with this new feature. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out. We're here to support and learn alongside you.